and welcome to the Evening News for Tuesday, April 1, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, Education Minister banned from debates. Granger says Silal's appointment is unconstitutional. City Hall tackling illegal high-rise buildings. Rodney COI to begin on April 22. Popular radio announcer remanded. Another suicide, this time in Enmore on the east coast of Demerara. And Ramkaran harboring residual bitterness towards Jagdeo. Now for the news in detail. Speaker of the National Assembly Raphael Trotman has banned Education Minister Priya Manikchand from participating in the 2014 national budget debates after failure to apologize to opposition Member of Parliament Jaipal Sharma for comments made in the House. Details in this report. It was while a Partnership for National Unity member Valda Lawrence was championing the cause for young girls and women to be protected from men who often get away with statutory rape that Education Minister Priya Manikchand shouted from across the room, quote-unquote, ask your APNU member Sharma. This comment had sent the August House into an uproar. APNU's Jaipal Sharma rose to his feet, demanded an apology, but even with the Speaker of the House, Raphael Trotman, giving such instruction, Manikchand refused.
Goes against,
Manikchand,
no sir, five children.
Ms. Manikchand, you will be
cannot.
speaking later. I will not recognize you to speak in this assembly.
I'm not speaking today.
Very well. On any day, on this debate, if that is the attitude you're going to take. Against a sitting member of this House who has done no, you said ask your APNU member. You said ask your APNU member. You said ask. No, I heard you. You said ask your APNU member, and that was out of order. It was out of order.
Sir, may I be allowed
and
to...
I said that we should refrain from bringing in people's members of family, or anyone. And if that is the attitude that you're going to take, I really am very disappointed.
I will say without reservation that I was not referring to the...
You said ask the member of the APNU,
no,
Mr. Sharma. You can decide whether you'd like to give it or not. That's your right. And you have said that you are not, and that's fair enough. Thank you.
In 2010, allegations of sexual assault were levied against Jaipal's father, Chandranarayan Sharma. The allegations were made by a clique of sisters ages 12, 13 and 24. This matter is currently gaining the attention of the court.
Opposition Member of Parliament Valda Lawrence kept parliamentarians at the edge of their seats as she defended the need for greater investments to be made towards improving the lives of the differently able population, women, children and the elderly. Lawrence told the House that institutions facilitating the differently able remain in the deplorable conditions, while the ruling Progressive Party Civic continues to toot its own horn for apparent strides made in the social services sector.
Mr. Speaker, it is a fact that our society lacks information on how to treat persons with disability. And as a result, disabled persons are sidelined and oftentimes their needs are misunderstood. Madam Minister of Education, it is time we have a reformed program for educating our differently able children so that those less challenged can be integrated into the regular schools and others can be taught, where possible, to be independent and go on to live a good life.
To date, many public and private buildings are without ramps to assist the differently able, noting too that this vulnerable group continues to be discriminated against in its attempt to access public transportation. Lawrence whipped out a bottle of rum in the House as she admonished her fellow parliamentarians to address the easy access of alcohol. She said records show that consumption of alcohol by women and children is on the rise, with the impacts being severe.
Despite the reprint of the $1,000, $500 and $100 notes, no features were added to assist the visually impaired to identify these various notes. They are still being discriminated when seeking the use of public transportation. Are you disabled, honorable member? The failure to encourage the sale of computer software, for example, audio books, audio watches and clocks at VAT-free and subsidized prices. Mr. Speaker, allow me to reiterate that the government must allocate funds to provide buses for disabled persons, ramps and special seats to cater for those persons with cross disabilities. Our differently abled a grave omission, Mr. Minister. Alcohol abuse. Mr. Speaker, alcohol abuse.
But this was not the end of Lawrence's fiery presentation. She pulled out a DVD dubbed Guyanese Girls Gone Wild as she told the House that young girls are falling victims to pornography.
One may mistake it for a CD which has lewd music. However, I wish to inform you and this honorable House that it is not so. Rather, sir, it is a phonographic film or a blues or a BM. Mr. Speaker, I hold in my hand another form of exploitation of our teenage girls and girls younger than 12 years old. These can be had across the length and breadth of our country. And just like alcohol, it is big money business.
In addition to Lawrence, Labour Minister Nanda Gopal and the AP News' Christopher Jones were among parliamentarians who debated the 2014 national budget in the National Assembly. Leroy Bedlow reporting for the Evening News.
In this Leroy Bedlow report, we'll hear now that a 13-year-old boy was found hanging in his room early this morning at his Hope West Enmore, East Coast Demerara home by his father.
Rishi Ramkisoon, called Sanjay, an 8th grade student of the Golden Grove Secondary School, was discovered around 700 hours by his father, Rajnath. Rajnath told this newscast that his son woke up around 600 hours and brought his uniform out of the room, but then went back inside. The man said about 1 hour later, he went to check on his son, but the door was locked and he was not responding, so he decided to climb the wall. When he did, the man said he got a shock of his life and fell down. The neighbors were then alerted and they assisted in getting the door open, after which they saw the teenager's lifeless body hanging from the ceiling with a sheet tied around his neck.
This man, right? About 6 I can't remember a week here. He was sleeping upstairs with my mother, right? She got your room, he got your room, and he stayed downstairs. So my mother wake you up. My opinion and parent thing. And the mother just woke, so the mother tell him he bring no clothes, but he want to order because she got to go to work. So he take out his clothes and put on his chair, so on the chair. Right? And my mother said, when the thing come down, you go down see you come when you're ready. Right? And my mother come downstairs. And me they lie down in there with my daughter. I didn't sleep, just lie down on the bed with my daughter. And my mother called from me now, and my mother go up about 7 o'clock, or so, 5 to 7, my mother go up, the door locked. Right, and she knocked the door, no response. So he come, he said, so here I have in the room, they now, Upmadu, I now answer me. They come around and bring it to no 7 o'clock, at your school. So you go up in there, you are up the step, and you go upstairs. But the door, you knock the door 2 times or 3 times. No response, hard, right? Sanji, we go for her in our school, and I get up on the bed. And you climb on the wall, divider. And peep, right in the room. Go with a clash for he there. Clash the bed, I mean, I see him on the bed, so I come and tell him, my cap and tell him, this bed upon the bed, and the door locked. You must have checked, go back and see where he hide on a bed. When I climb back the second time on the wall, divider, no. I mean, take a good wash room, you see the sheet, they don't, and what demand that they're ready.
On the ground?
On the ground, yeah.
You've been late also.
And see,
when I people
down the out and it's a broken neck or, you know, it's tight.
Rajnath lamented that he doesn't know why his son committed suicide, since in his mind his son was a happy and satisfied child. Even the teenager's friends and teachers claimed that he did not have any problems with anyone. The body of the 13-year-old child was taken to the Lycan Funeral Parlor, where it awaits a post-mortem examination.
Very hard for the grandson. The grandson was so kind to me, was so good to me. I never knew my grandson would do something like this. That to sit to me. He could wake up in the morning. He wake up my grandson this morning. When we do here, me both to the Halloween, the whole house full. Then we can ever get up to him. Me so glad, let me see my grandson. Me grandson. Me grandson. Me grandson, what happened to me grandson? Right? And they said, no, hold the door, don't shut the door. So me say me go break the door for see my grandson. So they said no, Granny, you can't trouble this door.
Head of the Walter Rodney Secretariat, Hugh Denbo, has confirmed that the April 22 proposed date for the commencement of the Walter Rodney inquiry has been confirmed, as there has been an overflow of witnesses offering to testify. Alexis Rodney updates us.
A short visit to the Secretariat's office yesterday saw staff members hard at work putting together bits of evidence. Denbo said the Secretariat has been receiving an overwhelming amount of witness statements, especially from overseas-based Guyanese who were living in Guyana during the period Rodney was killed. He said that the Secretariat is in contact with the 3 commissioners and is waiting to hear from the chairman, Sir Richard Cheltenham, about the conditions under which these individuals will testify. Denbo said that locally Guyanese have been flooding the Secretariat's office with their written statements. There have been cases, he said, of persons approaching the office without written statements. In such instances, their statements are recorded. The Secretariat had set a March 26, 2014 deadline for persons desirous of presenting witness statements. That deadline was later extended indefinitely, Denbo told this newscast. At its last press briefing almost 2 weeks ago, the Walter Rodney Commission, headed by Barbadian Queen's Counsel Sir Richard Cheltenham, had told the journalists that a certain amount of witness statements was required before the inquiry could begin its work. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
Leader of the opposition, David Granger, says the appointment of the former crime chief, Silal Persaud, as the acting police commissioner is unconstitutional. The Constitution of Guyana stipulates that the president must consult with the leader of the opposition before proceeding with the appointment of a top cop. Gabriela Patram reports.
Leader of the Partnership for National Unity, David Granger, said he was not consulted on the appointment of Silal Persaud. Hence, by the laws of Guyana, his appointment as acting commissioner of police is null and void. According to Granger, President Donald Ramotar wrote him on the appointment of a new commissioner of police, but made it clear that discussions between the government and the opposition was not held. On Monday, Persaud took up the mantle of stewardship for the Guyana Police Force following the retirement of Leroy Brummel. This was confirmed by police spokesperson Ivlaw Whitaker, who said the handing over of the leadership was done with a brief ceremony yesterday. Brummel, whose time as police commissioner ended in February, was asked to stay on for 1 month to facilitate a smooth transition. While Silal is acting, the appointment of a substantive commissioner of police is being hindered by the absence of the Police Service Commission and the Public Service Commission. For the Evening News, I'm Gabriela Patram.
This is the Evening News. Stay tuned. More news ahead. Welcome back. This is the Evening News. Human Services and Social Security Minister Jennifer Webster has stated that disciplinary actions will be taken against officers of the K-Malls International Home under quarantine for neglect of duties as her ministry continues to make strides in the provision of social services. Gomati Gangadin reports.
The quarantine orphanage came into the spotlight in December 2013 following allegations of maltreatment of orphans residing at the institution. Human Services Minister Jennifer Webster, while debating the 2014 national budget in the National Assembly, stated that disciplinary action will be taken against those officers who fail to execute their duties in accordance with the public service rules. This recommendation emanated from a committee which was appointed by Webster to investigate the allegations which were made by 3 teenage girls who were charged for wandering. She did not specify whether the K-Malls International Home had reached the established standards, but she simply outlined the recommendations tabled by the committee. Despite the minor glitches, Minister Webster said that there were many successes in 2013 and this trend will continue to 2014 with women and children reaping the benefits.
In addition, the National Commission on the Family intends to conduct training with men on parenting skills and techniques for fathers and design a public communication campaign to ensure that the messages are known by all. In 2014, the Women's Affairs Bureau will continue to support the advancement and the empowerment of our women through training opportunities in microfinancing to support women in small business enterprise.
The Bureau intends to engage the legal fraternity to assist in developing simple, user-friendly handbooks entitled Know Your Rights. In addition, there will be a countrywide campaign to sensitize women and girls about their rights, which would assist them in making positive choices and decisions in their lives. This activity will be a collaborative effort with all partners and stakeholders, NGOs and educational institutions. In addition, the conversation on gender-based violence will continue in schools in collaboration with the Men's Affairs Bureau.
She also noted that the ministry's fight against trafficking in persons continues. She maintained that the government, through the ministerial task force, will continue to work with its partners to develop strategies and programs aimed at combating trafficking in persons in Guyana.
A source close to former President Barra Jagdeo says the former People's Progressive Party Civics executive member Ralph Ramcharan could still be harboring residual bitterness because he did not receive support to be a presidential candidate of the governing party back in 2011. More in this report.
A source close to former President Barra Jagdeo has opined that the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Ralph Ramcharan, is recovering from his failure to muster enough party support to run as the PPPC's presidential candidate in the last elections. Ramcharan had criticized Jagdeo after a secret poll by the combined opposition found that the former president would be the most formidable candidate were the PPPC to head to any snap elections now or in the near future. According to the source, this is probably another attempt by Ramcharan to find favor with the current government. He added that it also can be very well a case of quid pro quo by Ramcharan in his Conversation Tree column, which was picked up on by other sections of the press. The source said too that given the current court proceedings surrounding fraud in which Ramcharan is embroiled, he would need government support if the legal process does not end in his favor. The source also said that since the Guyana Times and later the Guyana Chronicle reported on the combined opposition's poll, many have sought to speculate whether or not Jagdeo is returning to seek a third term with no basis for their claims. The source again confirmed that former President Jagdeo is not interested in a third term of office and that he may soon be making a public statement. For the Evening News, Gomati Gangadin.
Leader of a Partnership for National Unity, the retired Brigadier David Granger, said that he is disappointed over the $17.1 billion allocation to the Integrity Commission, stating that the commission has been dysfunctional for several years now. Alexis Rodney reports.
In the 2014 National Budget presentation, Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh announced a whopping $17.1 million to the Integrity Commission, an entity that is responsible for the accountability of assets of persons holding public offices. Given his take on the budgetary allocation, the opposition leader David Granger said the commission should not have received the funding. In an earlier interview, Granger had said that his coalition would welcome the establishment of the much-needed Integrity Commission once it was allowed the power to enforce the provisions of the Integrity Act. According to Granger, the opposition is still awaiting consultation with the head of state on the matter, noting that the National Assembly will have to make the appointments. He pointed out that other institutions such as the Public Service Commission, the Police Service Commission and the Judicial Service Commission have also been without proper structure. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
Now for some news in the courts. 22-year-old Tiffany Clark was on Monday freed of a murder charge after she was found not guilty by a jury. Clark was indicted with the murder of her girlfriend, Sonabia James, between February 25 and 26, 2011, outside of the Red Dragon nightclub. The young woman, in her unsworn statement, told the judge and the jury that she accidentally bore the deceased, with whom she had been in a relationship for 5 years. After closing arguments by State Counsel Danica Singh and defense attorney George Thomas, the trial judge, Justice Navindra Singh, summed up the evidence in the matter and sent the jury to deliberate on a verdict. The jury found Clark not guilty of the murder charge and not guilty of the lesser count of manslaughter. This is the Evening News. Stay tuned for news tonight. Welcome back. This is the Evening News. Some more news from the courts. Popular radio announcer O.C. Rogers was remanded to prison today by Magistrate Alex Moore for the charge of assault. Rogers reportedly slapped and injured a 13-year-old girl for allegedly dating his lover. In his Parrandale Magistrates Court, Rogers pleaded not guilty when the charge was read to him by Magistrate Moore. It is alleged that the announcer, who hosts a program titled Happy Hour on NTN and Caribbean Morning on NCN, repeatedly slapped a 13-year-old girl at her home after it was discovered that she had sent text messages to his 15-year-old friend, who is reportedly also his lover. The Georgetown Mayor and City Council will move against businessmen and women who have erected and are erecting illegal high-rise buildings across the city. According to the City Town Clerk, Carol Suba, many of these buildings are being constructed without the submission of key documents to the Council. Here's Jomo Paul with the details.
Today, Town Clerk Carol Suba announced that the City Council will crack down on construction of several high-rise buildings that have not received the Council's approval.
It is quite alarming that the height of some of these buildings and the construction of these buildings has been of some concern, not only to the public but to the Georgetown City Council. Now it tells me that something is definitely happening that can create some major problems with the threat to life and limbs should those buildings collapse. Being an officer in the City Council in excess of 16 years, I'm aware that there is a decision of this council that any building that exceeds 3 stories should have what you call a geotechnical report.
The town clerk maintained that continued construction of these buildings can pose a serious threat to human life.
I'm not too sure what happened in the city engineers department, but there seemed to have been some breakdown somewhere that caused the city engineers department not to have had persons who are building to submit their building applications along with the geotechnical report. Having had discussions some time ago with the current city engineer, Mr. Calvern Venture, who advised me he was not aware of such a decision. But he has recently instructed his staff in January of this year to have the geotechnical report.
Recently, there has been much scrutiny regarding the construction of high-rise buildings in and around Georgetown. One such building at Ornock and North Road was earmarked for demolition after it was discovered that the building was sinking. This was reportedly due to the weak foundation of the structure. Reporting for the Evening News, Jomo Paul.
A Partnership for National Unity Member of Parliament, Keith Scott, on Monday called for a redrafting of the $220 billion budget, which he described as quote-unquote a fluff, as the 2014 budget debates got underway. Here are details.
Speaking just after his fellow parliamentarian and Shadow Finance Minister Carl Greenwich, Scott in his presentation challenged the government to redraft the national budget. Government has said that the opposition blew its chances for the consultation with a lot of dithering by Greenwich when it was time for meetings with him and Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh.
The sustained and unusual silence on both sides of this House indicates the mighty struggle that was waged against that desire. The Attorney General and the AFC must have had advance notice. They took countermeasures. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister himself, a victim of the somnolent mood that he had induced, titled his budget, "A Better Guyana for All Guyanese," when in fact he really meant to use the APNU's manifesto title, A Good Life for All Guyanese.
Scott Ford maintained that it is not within the Constitution of Guyana for the opposition to present a counter-budget to the National Assembly, but rather to scrutinize projects that would have been presented by the government.
Mr. Speaker, we keep hearing but the attacks on this side of the House that we ought to be able to present alternative solutions to the projects and the ideas that the finance minister presents. Let me say that this is not the role of the opposition. It is the role and the duty of the government and the finance minister to come to us with projects. Our job is to help them to point out the areas where it can be improved, and that is exactly what we do when we stand up most and talk. It's not that we're attacking for the sake of attacking. It is because we have the nation at heart.
He maintained that billions of dollars allocated to various projects can be redirected to other areas where need for the resources is greater. For the Evening News, I'm Gomati Gangadin.
With the recent announcement by the Guyana Elections Commission that it is prepared for local government elections should it be called, Guyanese today expressed hope that government would soon make the decision. Alexis Rodney reports.
The Evening News spoke with a few persons to hear of their views on local government elections.
This is long overdue. They ain't changing because they don't need to reinforce power into Region 4, finance into Region 4, doing that as APNU region. Because APNU and PNC were in this region, so the government is PEP. They don't want to reinforce or put no money into Region 4. There's the reason why.
I think it's being stalled for a specific purpose. This is my reason. At the moment, things are not, in my opinion, right, things are not going so well in the way the present government is seeing it. And they're trying to stall it again to see if they can come up to scratch. That's my view at the moment.
It's sad that it took so long to happen, but nevertheless, it's like they said, it's never too late for something. Local government is quite important for community development, so we need to have the local government election in order to move forward in terms of community development. Because take for instance, you see when the rain falls, the city floods. Even in certain communities, they are flooding. So when local government is there, there is an active body within communities, and they would be able to address some of these challenges, working together with community residents.
At a press briefing held last month to announce the newly elected Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, Keith Lowenfield, Chairman Dr. Steve Surajbali had reported that the electoral body was prepared for the election, which was last held in 1994. Opposition parties, international organizations, and members of the local private sector have all been calling for the election to be held. The most recent attempt was made by the parliamentary opposition, calling for the election to be held by August 1 this year. However, the ruling party, through its General Secretary Clement Rohi, had said that government would not support the opposition's request to hold the election by August 1. According to Rohi, the reasons for disagreeing with the opposition was because such power resides with the Election Commission only. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
The controversial specialty hospital will be brought before the National Assembly tomorrow during the debating process of Budget 2014. Here's Gabriela Patram with the details.
The $910 million, which is allocated for the specialty hospital project, will know its fate as it is an item to be debated tomorrow in the National Assembly. This is according to a top official from the Health Ministry. In 2013, the hospital has previously incurred the wrath of the combined parliamentary opposition. During the 2013 budget debate, the $1.25 billion provision for the hospital was cut by the combined opposition using their one-seat majority in the House. APNU has contended that the formulation of the project was not transparent, a view rejected by the government. The construction of the hospital is part of an agreement between the governments of Guyana and India for Guyana to use US $18 million through a line of credit to build the hospital. The hospital is being built to cater for complicated surgeries ranging from heart operations, organ transplants to cosmetic surgery. Dr. Ashley Singh in his budget presentation last Monday said efforts will continue to advance the construction of Guyana's first specialty hospital, which aims to deliver tertiary-level health care not previously available to Guyanese. For the evening news, I'm Gabriela Patram.
Stay tuned to the evening news. Sports, sponsored by Macor after the break. Welcome back now for a look at sport, but first, the headlines. Plethora of international stars for Limacol CPL 2014. Wins for West Indies, Australia in World T20. Sweeping changes made to Regional 4D squad, and AAG names Junior Carif the Games team. Of course, our sportcast comes to you with the kind compliments of Macor.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. Macor, let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. Now for the details. We start with some cricket news. Defending champions West Indies secured a World T20 semi-final spot against Sri Lanka on Thursday with a magnificent 84-run win over Pakistan in Mirpur. In a shootout to decide who would go through to the last four, West Indies hammered 82 of the last 5 overs. Dwayne Bravo fired 4 sixes in his 46 from 26 balls and put on 71 in 34 balls, with Darren Sammy, who hit an unbeaten 42 of 20 as the West Indies posted 166 for 6. Pakistan lost the wicket first ball and were 82 all out in the 18th over. Spinners Sunil Narine and Samuel Badre, the top 2 ranked bowlers in T20 cricket, picked up 3 wickets each. It was another irresistible performance from the stylish Windies, who have won 3 successive games since a 7-wicket defeat against India in their opening match. And Australia completed their World T20 campaign with a 7-wicket victory against Bangladesh in Mirpur. Both teams are already out, having lost their first 3 games, and were trying to avoid finishing bottom of Group 2. Shakib Al Hassan hit 5 fours and 3 sixes in his 66 of 52 balls, putting on 112 with Mushfiqur Rahim, who added 47 as Bangladesh made 153 for 5. Opener Aaron Finch blasted 7 fours and 4 sixes in 7-1 from 45 balls as Australia won with 15 balls remaining. The Limacol Caribbean Premier League today confirmed a stellar lineup of cricketers registered to take part in this year's competition. The list includes the 6 international franchise players chosen by the teams and all of the players entering the 2014 draft, which takes place this Thursday in Kingston, Jamaica. Let's find out more in this report. The 6 international franchise players will include 3 returning stars and 3 newcomers to the Limacol CPL. International cricket's most successful bowler ever, Mutai Molitran of the Jamaican Tallawahs, CPL 2013's leading run scorer Shoaib Malik of the Barbados Trident, and New Zealand's Ross Taylor of the Trinidad and Tobago Red Steel will all return to their 2013 teams. The top wicket-taker in T20 internationals, Pakistan's Saeed Ajmal will go to the Antigua Hawksbills. The record-breaking New Zealander Corey Anderson has been signed with the Guyana Amazon Warriors, and Australia T20 specialist Brad Hodge will turn out for the St. Lucia Zouks in their debut season. Vying to join these 6 players will be global stars like Shahid Afridi, Kevin Peterson, Kumar Sangakkara and Daniel Vettori, as well as more than 100 Caribbean players who will all enter the 2014 draft. The big-hitting Afridi will feature alongside 26 of his Pakistani compatriots, including Umar Gul, World T20 centurion Amit Shahzad, and Test and ODI captain Misbah ul Haq, while 13 New Zealanders, including James Franklin, Martin Guptill and Jesse Ryder, joined the former Black Cap skipper Daniel Vettori in the draft. 11 Sri Lankans will go into the draft as well, including the former captains Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardena and Tilakaratne Dilshan, as well as the hard-hitting all-rounder Tessaro Pereira and the mystery spinner Ajanta Mendes. Australia has the largest overseas contingent in the draft with 32 players, including prolific batsmen David Hussey and Adam Voges, pace bowlers Sean Tate and Dirk Nannes, and spinners Brad Hogg and Xavier Doherty. South African seamer Vernon Philander, who tasted CPL success last year with the Jamaica Tallawahs, is hoping to return to the competition for a second year alongside Herschel Gibbs, who played for St. Lucia Zouks in 2013. 23 South Africans in total will go into the draft, including current Protea stars Robin Peterson and Lenwabo Sisobe. England internationals Simon Jones, Dimitri Mascarenas and Owais Shah will line up against the former teammate Kevin Peterson in the draft. They will be joined by the Bangladesh pair Shakib Al Hassan and Tamim Iqbal, Zimbabwe spinner Ray Price, Irish T20 World Cup hero Kevin O'Brien, the Netherlands World T20 star Tom Cooper and Afghanistan captain Mohamed Nabi. The Limacol CPL 2014 will give cricketers from across the Caribbean the opportunity to play with and against some of the best players in the world. Up-and-coming cricketers such as Nicholas Pooran and Jason Holder will enter the draft alongside West Indies Test stars like Shivnarine Chanderpaul, Tino Best and current World T20 players Samuel Badre, Dwayne Smith and Krishmar Santoki. Still in cricket, without a victory after 4 games and a woefully underperforming batting lineup, the senior selection panel of the Guyana Cricket Board has rung the changes ahead of the 5th round game starting this Friday in Antigua. Here are details. Led by Chairman Rayon Griffith, the national selectors have made what could be described as sweeping changes to the Guyana squad that will play the Leeward Islands in the 5th round of the West Indies Cricket Board's regional 4-day competition. That match will bowl off on Friday at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. All-rounders Narsingh Junarine and Christopher Barnwell and the leg spinner Devendra Bishu have all been dropped by the selection panel. Opener Trevon Griffith, West Indies under-19 batsman Shimron Hettimire and the all-rounder Zahir Mohammed have been drafted in for the next round, while fast bowler Runsford Beaton has returned from injury. Veteran West Indies batsman Shivnarine Chanderpaul will not be available for the rest of the competition due to his commitment to county cricket in England. Chanderpaul returned from injury and played 2 matches for Guyana in the competition, but did not flourish with the bat as many would have expected. He had scores of 26, 18, 8 and 26. Junarine took 7 wickets for 179 runs in the competition, but had a torrid time with the bat. 5 ducks in 8 innings represented Junarine's worst season in first-class cricket, as he was only able to muster 95 runs. Barnwell was no different either, with scores of 34, 14, 2, 4, 13, 4, 22 and 11. He captured 1 4-wicket haul against the Windward Islands, 4 for 54, but nothing substantial in the other matches. Bishu picked up 13 wickets in the competition, 5 of which came in 1 innings against Barbados. The team reads Leon Johnson captain, Asad Fuddin, Amir Khan, Trevon Griffith, Tejnarine Chanderpaul, Zahir Mohammed, Runsford Beaton, Anthony Bramble, Versamy Premal, the vice-captain, Shimron Hettimire, Ron Johnson, Keon Joseph and Chanderpaul Hemraj. The coach is Eason Crandon and the manager Alvin Johnson. Sport Minister Dr. Frank Anthony admitted on Monday evening that the cricket impasse has definitely impacted on the dynamics of the game on the field. Rajiv Bisnath tells us more.
The minister made a comment on Monday evening during the first sitting of the 2014 budget debate. However, according to Anthony, the passage of the Cricket Administration Bill seems the only way forward and is the minister's hope that the bill will be passed with consensus sometime soon.
Mr. Speaker, cricket has had its fair share of difficulty off the field, and this has impact on the game on the field. We hope that later in the year we will be able to pass the cricket legislation by consensus, which will assist the game to grow and develop.
The bill was tabled by government in December 2011 in a bid to end the impasse over the national game, but has since been deferred at least 4 times when it came up for the second reading in the House. The bill provides constitutions for the Guyana Cricket Board, the Demerara, Berbice and Essequibo Cricket Boards, and is divided into 5 parts, with one schedule giving respective boards the power to effectively manage affairs of local cricket. More so, once the bill is passed and signed into law, new elections will be held.
Finally, some athletics news. The Athletics Association of Guyana has released its team for the 2014 Junior Carifta game set for Martinique this month. Headlining the team is Carifta 1500-meter gold medalist Cassie George and 400-meter Carifta bronze medalists Kadisha Beard and Jason Yaw. Avon Samuels has also been included and will compete in the girls 200 and 400 meters events. Making their debuts will be sprinters Javina Sampson and Kevin Abansets, Natrisa Hooper in the triple jump, Katie Pierce in the triple jump and long jumps, and the American-based sprinter Brenisa Thompson. Sham Johnny has been appointed coach, while Mayfield Taylor Trim is the manager. And with that, we've come to the end of sport, which is sponsored by MarCorp. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc. 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Georgetown and Varens, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unicary, Suriname. Stay tuned, your bridge reports on the other side.
Believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. MarCorp, let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back to the evening news. Now for a look at your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed on Wednesday, April 2 at 5 hours for a period of 1.5 hours, and the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Wednesday, April 2 at 5 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. And with that, we've come to the end of the evening news for Tuesday, April 1, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.